Welcome to the V2 Pro accessory video. It's a lot of stuff, and we're gonna go into each individual item, break down in detail what it is, and a timeline associated with it. So this is the launch video. This is coming out right before that 8/1 date when all these products go live. And each one of these items takes a long time to source or make. We wanna go through each one of these things, so let's jump right in. So this tent will be available for both the V1 and the V2, but starting out, we're just starting with V2, and then we're gonna work to support V1 as quickly as we can after. And it will tie into those snaps. It'll be the exact same tent pattern. On the V2, it'll snap right into that heater rail. So the tent is a huge upgrade. You've probably already seen the walk around video of the new Pro, but we have the fully reconfigured side windows, we have the big top vents, we have the up down zipper door, we have all the quiet closures, all the snap closures instead of the carabiners in certain areas, and it's a huge project. So this one is gonna come with probably the longest lead times out of all the products that we're offering in this pre-sale. So this V2 Pro tent is probably single-handedly the largest upgrade, maybe second to the lights, that you can make if you're just gonna pick one item. So as far as options go, we're streamlining the options, including the side doors as standard in these replacement tents. And we'll have them available in orange and gray for both XL and standard size campers. Because this is such a big undertaking to make more of these tents, and this is a big complicated project, the lead time is the longest of all of our accessory items. We're looking at fulfilling these orders in February. So they'll likely all be fulfilled in one large batch. The other thing is install. So if you're a really competent mechanic, if you love DIYing, bumper installs, that kind of stuff, this is something that you'd probably be willing to take on. It's totally doable as a hobbyist, as a person who loves working on their own truck, but it's a project. It's gonna take a couple hours. So we're working with our partner shops, and we'll have some options available here in Montana at our shop to get this installed for you for an additional fee. While we're on the subject of the tent and the sleeping area, let's talk about the next big ticket item, the headliner. The headliner includes a bunch of Velcro, not this much, but enough to give 4 or 5 strips on the roof, depending on what size camper you have. 4 strips on a standard, 5 strips on an XL, and it comes with 3 of these big marine grade fabric, basically headliner panels. What we do is we put the hook side of the Velcro up on the honeycomb panel ceiling and then stick the marine grade fabric right to it. What this headliner does is it basically increases the surface area of that whole roof panel and allows any moisture that might be in the air if you're camped near a river, camped near a lake, to basically hit this headliner, have more surface area, and evaporate. And the cool thing about this material is it's specially designed for marine applications where it will not hold water. The other neat thing is this acts as another insulative layer to keep that from forming in the first place. So not only is it gonna help with condensation, it'll also help with thermal loading from the sun. So when the sun rises in the morning, heats up that tent space, the tent will stay noticeably cooler and a lot darker. It's not full blackout, but it's pretty dang close, keeping the light out from getting into that tent. Another cool benefit of this headliner that doesn't have to do with any real function, but it's mostly form, is the ability to add patches. So if you wanna display your patch collection on the inside of the camper, you're set to go. The lead time for this is quite a bit quicker to start out shipping orders, and those orders will begin to ship 30 days from that 8/1 start date. So after that, everything is first come, first serve, and we're working with a great local contract manufacturer to help us ramp up production while we keep cranking out Pro tents back at the factory. So the next item is quite a bit smaller, but still related to the tent, and it is zipper pulls. If you've got an existing camper from GoFast, you probably have metal pulls. These are meant to replace that. Their sole function is to be a little easier to pull, but primarily to be quieter in the wind. It's a nice little upgrade, super easy to add, works super well, not too expensive. These will ship starting on 8/1, 2 days after this video launches. So they will be available. If there's any quantity issues with shipping all of them at once, we'll let you know. So this one I'm super excited about, and it is the lighting kit. So what's really cool about this lighting kit is these aren't just a bunch of LED strip lights. They're like actually a solid light bar, and all these little lights in here are potted in this housing, so they're really good for wet environments, whether you're going to the car wash and spraying everything out, leaving your panels open in the rain, filling it full of dust, dirt, and grime. These things are good to go. And they're red-white alternating lights inside of this bar. So it'll switch between red, white, or even a pink, which sounds kind of weird, but it works super well at camp to give you kind of like a warm glow without being fully red. One of the upsides to red is that it isn't just to correct your night vision or keep your night vision working well, it also helps keep bugs away from camp. So if you're camping in a super buggy place, red light helps a ton. This kit comes with 5 lights. So there's gonna be 4 downstairs, basically surrounding the entire perimeter. So you have a forward light, a rear light, and then 2 side lights. And then upstairs, there's a really big bar that lights up the whole tent area. And this comes with everything you need for the install. So complete wiring harness, push button controller, super simple, mode switchable, on, off, up, down, and even the little Hellerman Titan sticky ties that are the only thing that we've ever found that holds up to like UV stable heat environments for attaching things to the camper on that frame. So it comes with enough of these little sticky tabs and zip ties to properly mount this lighting kit with the detailed instructions. So while we'll have a few of these lighting kits available on that 8/1 announcement date, they will take about 8 to 12 weeks in order to ship to your house if you don't get that first batch. Simple install. This is a really, really easy DIY. It adds a ton of value. There also will be a kit available for the topper and the RTT. The topper will come with just those 4 lower lights around the perimeter of the lower frame, and then the RTT will have this one upper light that lights up that whole upper bed space. So I should add that lighting kit install is probably about an hour if you take your time. It's really easy, it's kind of fun to put together, and it's really simple. It's also virtually no tools required. So the only tools you'll need are basically cutting off the ends of those zip ties. The lighting kit also comes with a really high quality cigarette plug that'll tie into our next accessory, should you choose to want this, which is the power pack. So this is about a 20 amp hour battery at 12 volt, super small, really convenient. So the reason we chose this is it's enough to run the lights for a pretty long time, but it's also really easy to charge in the car. So you can probably run the lights for 2 or 3 nights if you're just using them a reasonable amount of time, and then throw it in your car, plug it in, and keep charging. Super simple. We've got everything on this thing. We've got a full cigarette plug with big DC amperage out actually. We've got USB-C, we've got a 5510 or whatever that barrel connector is, a standard DC connector, USB and USB-C again. And charges really quickly. It's got a few neat little other features. So it's got built-in inductive charging, it's got a built-in flashlight. It actually has a built-in MPPT charge controller that'll accept up to an 80 watt panel. So this is a really handy thing to have around. So since I got it, I've actually been carrying it around with me when I'm working remote and run into a coffee shop and want to charge my laptop. Useful for more than just your lighting kit, and for how much battery it is, it's a pretty good value. So we will have a few of these available at the time of launch on 8/1, but anybody that misses that first batch of orders is gonna have about an 8-week lead time for fulfillment after that. So we'll go back to the sleeping area with the TurboNaap. So the TurboNaap, if you're not already aware of it, is our super comfortable 3-inch mattress. So early on, back in the V1 days, we had a 3-inch mattress for a while. So if you have a really thick mattress from a long time ago that has like a Cordura cover on it, that's the V1. After that, we switched to this 2-inch mattress that most of the campers out in the wild have right now. And then we bumped it back up to a 3-inch that really resulted in the most comfortable mattress we've ever made. So what's really neat about this mattress is a 4-way stretch upper cover. That's really nice. It's really soft, super comfortable to sleep on. Doesn't sleep super hot. Honestly, fitted sheets are nice on top of this, but they're not even really totally needed. And inside, there's 2 different layers of foam. So you have a 2-inch layer of foam and a 1-inch layer of foam. So this allows a lot of nice compression up top, but then when you dig down deep, you're not gonna go all the way through to that floor panel. Honestly, this thing ranks up there with anything I've ever slept on. But the big thing about this thing being 3 inches thick is you can still close your camper with bedding inside. And that's a huge, huge, huge plus, especially if you sleep with like a quilt, a blanket, or some light camping pillows. On the underside of all the new TurboNaps, we're gonna have this BedingCatch kit. And this comes standard with that TurboNaap now. So you can see, you can stash bedding, you can stash blankets. If you sleep with a sleeping bag that's maybe not meant for backpacking, but is more like a big Coleman unit or a unit you got at Cabela's, it'll fit up here. You can fit jackets, kind of whatever, just a great little stash bag. It's got stretch, it's It's also really easy to remove and clean. Well, it's not too easy, but it is easy enough. So you can basically pull it off. And this will actually be available as a separate system. So there's a handful of you guys that have already purchased the TurboNaap, but you got it before we came out with the BedingCatch. So rather than have to buy an entire new mattress system, we're selling basically 2 of these cushion covers where the BedingCatch lives that have the BedingCatch attachment system tied into them. So you'll just replace those old ones that you have with these new covers, and it'll come with these guys. So both the TurboNaap and the BedingCatch kit will start to fulfill about 30 days after that 8/1 drop date and roll subsequently through. So as with all of these items, it's kind of a first come, first serve in order to get these things out the door. So the next item we'll talk about here is down on the frame itself. And if you have a V2 camper, this does not apply to V1 at all. You probably noticed that there are some holes on the back side of where we do the mount attachments for the bed clamps. And in those holes, we made a plug. So there's a square hole, basically little 3D printed TPU part, slides in, gives you a nice little finished look and keeps any water, dirt, or anything when you're washing the camper, makes it a little easier to clean. Simple, cheap, great accessory. And these will be available on that 8/1 launch date. If we get a huge rush of orders in, there could be a lead time associated, but they will start shipping right away. So while we're on the topic of bed mount systems, let's talk about the billet bed clamps. So a lot of V2 customers, again, this is a product that only applies to V2. A lot of V2 customers have an extrusion bed clamp, and it's a steel piece sandwiching a extruded part. It's a great clamp, it works. There is a better option though now, and it is this guy right here. So this thing is super burly. It's full billet machine, 2-piece, bunch of really beautiful captive hardware. This is a really nice upgrade if you're off-roading hard, if you're really getting after it, or if you just want a little bit more of a Gucci solution than the old extruded guy. This thing's pretty sweet. These will be available on that 8/1 launch date, but if there are a lot of orders that come in, like everything else, there could be a lead time associated. So check out the website, stay updated. So the next item to upgrade in the kind of frame lower mounting area are the plus nuts. And this is applicable not to toppers, but to all V2 campers that have well nuts inside. So the well nuts are those little rubber nuts that go into the hole that have like the little threaded boss inside of them. What we have right here are big, burly 5/16, 18 metal, what's called a plus nut. So these guys go into the hole, they clamp down and give you a much stronger and easier to torque surface to interface for accessories than those well nuts. So if you have a bunch of stuff that you want to mount already or need a stronger solution than the well nuts, this is a great solution for that. The other thing is, as we develop more and more accessories, it'll likely tie into this plus mount system rather than the well nuts, just for repeatability and ease of installation. But this is a very simple install process. There's a great video instructional guide. It comes with all the tools to install it. So all you're gonna need is a wrench. These guys will be available to ship on that 8/1 start date. They'll be in stock. The next item is the last core item to upfit the V2 into most of the things of a V2 Pro, and that's the latches. So the latches that come on the new V2 Pro are not cost compatible with the old V2s without swapping out a bunch of billet hardware and completely replacing all of the side panels, which would be a couple $1,000. So in order to come up with a really good solution for V2 customers that want a better latching system, we have a great solution that works with the existing South Coast C2s. So if you have some older latches and want to replace them, we can actually replace the entire core assembly. Or if you come to one of our partner shops or come to our shop in Montana, we can replace the clunkiest part of that latch, which is actually the core. And what's really neat, kind of the backstory behind this, is Polaris, the side-by-side company, uses this same latch mechanism for a lot of parts on their buggies and had all the same problems that we've had with icing and freezing and the lack of a bidirectional key. So the key as it currently stands goes in one way on the older V2 units. This new core actually allows the key to go in that way or flip it completely around and go that way. It's a much better core. The dust cover's vastly improved. That still doesn't mean that salt, snow, and grit won't get on these things. So you've probably seen our TPU 3D printed latch covers. So we were selling these last winter to help a lot of you guys out that were having any sort of problems with these latch covers. And this is a good temporary solution, but we decided to really up our game and invest in the tooling to come out with a proper injection molded latch cover. So while these are a really good solution, if you're happy with them, keep running them. The injection molded product is much better. So I'll kind of show you some key differences here. So on the TPU, you don't get quite the flexibility. You have kind of it's not brittle, it's just a lot tighter. It's also a lot more prone to thermal expansion and contraction. Due to the heat and cold, there's a lot of movement and expansion here that can allow this to be either a little loose or a little tight, depending on different environmental conditions. So the rubber ones are a lot more stable and they're a lot more flexible. So being able to kind of one hand go in and close this guy is a game changer from everyday functionality. And what we're doing is we're taking all of the core functionality that comes in the latch covers on the new Pro and bringing it into the older latch cover style. So you're gonna have a lot easier opening and closing and just a little easier to live with. Not gonna be a super expensive part, but these will have a long lead time. Because of the tooling and development timelines, once we approve the first production sample, we'll let you guys know and open up orders at that point. And now we have a couple fun accessories that you guys might not have expected in this initial drop. One of the neat things here is we actually worked with some folks that you might know of that are in our aftermarket, Shitco and Josh Edgar Designs. And what we'll do is we'll start with the drip rails. These right here are the Josh Edgar drip rails that we collaborated on in order to kind of bring a few of the product things into our spec. All of the hardware and everything for install is included. Just kind of dumping it on the table here. And the biggest difference between the traditional Josh Edgar rail that you might already have, you might be familiar with, we worked with Josh to switch from a steel drip cover to aluminum. And not only is it just super light and kind of feels almost crazy how light it is, but what's really neat about this is there's no corrosion issues. So when this is holding water or pine needles or anything that is corrosive, you're not gonna get a bunch of rust or rusty water running down your truck. If you don't know what the drip rail is, it's a really neat accessory. It actually attaches to the front corner of the camper, and then when water pours on top of the camper, if you're getting into your truck in the morning after it rained all night, the water runs off the roof of the camper into the drip rail and then down onto the middle of your car instead of onto the edge where the doors open. So if you have like a regular cab pickup truck and water drips in the driver's seat when you're getting into your truck, or if you have the water dripping into the passenger seat in the rear, this keeps that from happening. So virtually every camper will benefit from this except for the Gladiator. The Gladiator already has factory drip rails, but this will work for campers and RTTs. It is not applicable to Topper because the Topper doesn't have the cab over that has the water come in. So these drip rails for V1 and V2 campers, there's a slight difference between the two models. They'll be in stock at the time of the drop on 8/1, and it's, again, first come, first serve. So if there's any lead time after that, it'll be updated on the website. So the last item we'll talk about are the awning blocks. So the awning blocks are compatible both with the older V2 tent, but also with the new V2 Pro. So the V2 Pro kit will come with 4 of these little blocks. The V2 previous generation tent and even the V1 tent will come with 6. So there's a little bit of a price difference there because of how many blocks and how many prop rods are included. The new door configuration allows for only 1 prop needed per side door on the Pro, whereas on the older V2 unit, you need 2 per side. So we actually collaborated with Shitco. We are sourcing these things from Mark, who's a friend of ours and has been a helpful part of our community for a long time. Really simple. This guy goes into the extrusion track system, bolts in, comes with all the hardware you need, gives you the place to put in these prop rods, which are in the bag here. So this guy will actually go into the tent to grab the door, and then this simply slides in. So what you'll do when you're actually using this in real life is you'll pop it into the block first, and then bring the tent out and hook the corner of the tent onto this. And this gives you some shade in really light rain. You can kind of prop the doors open, but gives you a great airflow, kind of creates a cabana mode upstairs in the tent area and works super well. So we're working with Shitco on getting a big stocking inventory of these. We are probably about 10 weeks out on those. These rods are also made down in Santa Ana. Pretty cool little situation. Stoked to support the local community. So in this video, I use the term standard and XL a bunch, and that applies to the camper. So a standard size camper is on a mid-size truck. So things like a Tacoma, a Ranger, a Gladiator, all mid-size vehicles, they have a slightly narrower tent. That's the standard size vehicle. And XL is larger full-size trucks. So F-150, F-250, F-350, full-size Ram, those larger vehicles are XL. So a few of these items will all have drop downs on whether or not they're size specific. So that'll be a drop down there. There'll be a few bed length specific options, and you can do that when you're checking out. If you have any questions, let us know in the email. A lot of these things that work in the tent will also fit for RTT. The rooftop tent is the same size as the standard camper tent. So those two dimensions are the same. So the RTT headliner for the standard is gonna be the same thing as the camper headliner that's in a standard size camper, but the XL is gonna be bigger than that. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and go through all these options. Wanted to make sure you had a couple of days to look at this video and go look at the website and kind of plan out your build. The easiest thing to do if you want to get everything and get it as quickly as possible is going to be add the entire build couple to cart, but every single one of these items is going to be available a la carte as well. And we'll have a few bundle prices. The other thing is this video is going to be announced with that 8/1 price drop, and we'll have early bird pricing that'll be available for a set amount of time. So if you want to get the upgrades in, we recommend looking at what you want to do and pulling the trigger on those, because you'll have about a month before the price is going to go up. Let us know if you have any questions. Hit us up in the comments, reach out to us via email, shoot us a text, shoot us a call. We're happy to help answer any questions you might have.